Hello, wonderhussie here. Just enjoying another fabulous day in 2025. That's right, it's a new year already, and we had a banger of a New Year's Eve party on the landing pad here in front of our house. That's right, we call this the landing pad because if there was ever a better place for a UFO to come down and land, well, I've yet to see it. And if there was ever a better time for a UFO to come down and land, well, it would have been the other night when we were having our New Year's Eve party out here, because when I say it was a banger, you know it's a banger when your shoe falls apart. Look at that. The platform fell clean off my high heel. Not to worry, I plan to get a tube of shoe glue and, well, before you know it, these shoes will be good as new because they don't make these anymore, and these are the most comfortable high heels I've ever owned. And yeah, sure, I don't often need to wear high heels living on the edge of Death Valley, but every now and then, well, I have an outfit that I just have to wear heels with, like this fabulous dress. Isn't this an amazing dress? It was sent to me for Christmas by a viewer named Angie. Angie, if you happen to be watching this video, thank you so much. I friggin' love this dress. I love the other dress you gave me. It's a little bit too big for me, but my sister wore it on New Year's Eve. She did a kind of a Joan Collins look, okay? Remember Joan Collins? Alexis on Dynasty? She wore the black wig that I wore to Circus Circus a couple weeks ago with this amazing dress that Angie sent us, and she looked amazing. And then I decided to go sort of 1920s, 1930s flapper, I guess is what you would call the style of this dress. Although, now that I think about it, maybe I look more like the lamp from that movie A Christmas Story. Remember that movie where the dad wins a prize and it turns out to be a lamp shaped like a lady's leg with a little fringe skirt? Well, either way, I had to dress up because we had some very elaborate plans for New Year's Eve. Okay, we got all dressed up and we went into Pahrump to get a drink at the Hub, which is kind of this little dive bar on the edge of town on your way out to Death Valley Junction. One of our favorite places to go, so have a drink at the Hub and then have a drink at our local brewery here in town. But on the way, we decided to stop at the Charlie Brown Outcrop, which is this weird black stripe of vitrified volcanic ash in the side of a mountain about halfway between Shoshone and Pahrump. Anyway, we decided to stop at the Charlie Brown Outcrop and drink some mushroom tea while we were listening to the Charlie Brown theme song, you know, da 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 da. And then after that, we went over to the Death Valley Brewing for a drink, and then we were going to come home, have a bonfire, and serve midnight baked potatoes to all our guests. So, if I was planning to go to Pahrump wearing this little dress, well, I needed a coat to stay warm. Now, my sister was lucky enough to have our grandma's old mink coat. Look at this. Now, before all you PETA members crucify me, I would never buy a brand new fur, but, well, my grandma recently passed away, and she left her beautiful mink coat that she got for her 50th birthday to my sister. Look at this. You can even see my grandma's name was embroidered inside the lining of the jacket. Shirley Ann Weigel. She was an absolutely wonderful woman, and this is a beautiful coat. And even though I don't agree with wearing fur just for the look of it, well, it also seems stupid to just waste a perfectly good mink coat that somebody already went through all the trouble of killing 50 minks for. I don't know, call me crazy. Anyway, my sister was wearing the mink coat, so that meant I needed a coat to wear. And so I looked through my closet and, well, golly, this one was too plain, this one was too pink, this one's too butch, and this one is the wrong decade. What's a gal to do? Well, I ended up wearing this beater old fake fur coat that I've worn to Burning Man about 150 times, and oh dear, sorry about my chonies, but our dryer's broken, so we have to dry everything outdoors on the clothesline. Anyway, this is the coat I ended up wearing. I have it hanging out here because it got completely saturated with smoke from the campfire, and I'm trying to make it not smell like an ashtray from the El Cortez circa 1975. Anyway, this is the coat I ended up wearing, and it was warm, and I guess it looks okay, but wouldn't you know it, I had these packages waiting for me that people sent me for Christmas that I hadn't gotten around to opening yet. And when I finally did get around to opening them the next day, guess what? One of the packages just happened to contain the perfect warm coat to go with my ensemble. Look how beautiful this is. This is made out of what's called swakara, genuine Southwest African karakul lamb. And again, I would never normally wear a coat made out of lamb's fur. Although, I don't know, to make lamb's fur, don't they just have to shear the lamb? Or is that lamb's wool? Maybe lamb's fur is actually made out of the skins of lambs. And if that's the case, well, I'm sorry, but this is a vintage coat and the lambs had already been butchered decades ago for someone's Easter dinner. Anyway, go figure, the perfect coat that matches this ensemble perfectly happened to be in the living room all along. So I guess lesson learned is never put off opening what mail you can today till tomorrow. But anyway, I guess it all worked out because I wouldn't have wanted to wear this coat to our party anyway, because A, who wants to wear a skimpy little dress and high heels to a bonfire? And B, well, I wouldn't have wanted to get this coat all stinky with campfire smoke. That's right, out here on the landing pad is where we had our party, and it was essentially not what we'd planned because after drinking that mushroom tea, we got a little too high, and I didn't even finish my drink at the brewery. That's what I like about mushrooms. If you're trying to get sober, which many of us are this dry January, I'm actually not doing dry January. I'm just doing drier January. Okay, dry January is a thing where people try to go the whole month of January without drinking any booze to sort of sober up, detox after the holidays. Well, I've been feeling like I need to detox a little bit for a long time, and it has nothing to do with New Year's Eve. I just decided to start cutting back. Anyway, we were not cutting back on New Year's Eve. Quite the contrary, despite the fact that I didn't even finish my drink at the brewery. Anyway, we had told everyone that we invited to come on over to our house around 9:30, and we'd have a bonfire and midnight baked potatoes and this whole thing. We had lights, we had music, but, well, you know how it is when you're on mushrooms. Time gets kind of funny. So by the time we got back here to the house, not only were we late, but we were also not in any condition to be baking potatoes or setting up music and lights. We did get it together. We started a fire, and I started playing some ragtime music on my cell phone. You know, the old-time ragtime music. I love ragtime. I love music from the 19-teens, music from the 1920s, music from the 1930s. Well, that's what we ended up listening to all night. It was kind of a weird party, you know. I guess our conception of it was lights and everybody dancing, fire, baked potatoes. Well, it didn't turn out to be like that at all. It turned out to be way more organic and kind of homespun in a way, but it was one of the most fun parties I've ever been to, let alone co-hosted, okay? It was just a big burn barrel, a hobo barrel with a fire in it, some camp chairs around it, and well, this weird 1920s, 1930s music playing on my cell phone. My sister did eventually hook up the speakers so it sounded better, but yeah, we just hung around the fire all night long on mushrooms, talking and laughing and then drinking champagne at midnight, and it was absolutely amazing. Like I said, it was one of the best parties I've ever been to, and I think the people who attended agree. I mean, yeah, there was probably some disappointment about the baked potatoes not happening, but man, it was a ragtag collection of odds and ends, and well, I hope nobody who was at the party who might be watching this takes offense to this, but freaks and weirdos, myself included, I consider myself the queen of the freaks and weirdos. I mean, look at me. Sorry, my nose is running. I think I'm getting over some kind of nasty cold. Thankfully, I wasn't sick on New Year's Eve like last year when I got Cocoa Puffs and had to stay home and miss out on all the fun. No, this year I rallied and had a wonderful time thanks to the mushrooms and thanks to this quirky, colorful ragtag collection of freaks and weirdos who showed up to our party. Now, if you happen to be one of said freaks and or weirdos, well, I'd like to take this time to personally thank you for coming to our party. I mean, we had this British woman who was all dressed up, looked like the Queen of England. We had a local colorful character who always wears a big top hat with a feather and this whole crazy look. We had a pirate. We had a guy in a pirate's costume. Our friend Scott was wearing a fur coat and a fedora, and he looked like, well, with the 30s music playing, he kind of looked like J.D. Rockefeller. And it was like hanging around in the glow of this campfire. It sort of felt like we were a gang of down on our luck vaudevillians whose show just got canceled on Broadway, and so we all had to party around this burn barrel under a bridge on New Year's Eve 1924, which was during Prohibition, so we would have been drinking bootleg hooch, and man, I guess maybe it was partly the mushrooms, but it really did feel like we were back 100 years ago. And it was an awesome feeling. I guess firelight does that. If you've ever been around a campfire and seen what firelight has, that nice, soft, flattering glow. And I'm really mad at myself. I was just in the moment too much to take any video or really any pictures of the whole thing. So you'll just have to use your imagination. A bunch of very colorful looking people gathered in the flickering firelight of a burn barrel blasting on this landing pad on the edge of nowhere, which, by the way, you can imagine on New Year's Eve how absolutely dark it was out here. You could sort of see the glow of Vegas that way, but we're far enough away from Vegas that you couldn't see any fireworks or anything, just sort of a ambient haze. But other than that, it looked like we were having this weird party on the edge of, well, my sister said it felt like the Titanic. It felt like we were having a party on the deck of the Titanic as it went down, and that kind of ties in to the time period, I guess. And what's really wild is that this landscape probably looked pretty much exactly the same 100 years ago. And so I did kind of entertain the fantasy that it was New Year's Eve 1924. Just seems like there was so much more optimism back in 1924. There's actually a lot of parallels between the 1920s and the 2020s. Both decades started with a big pandemic. Okay, we had Cocoa Puffs and they had the Spanish influenza. And then there was this crazy wealth disparity with a very few super rich plutocrats and everybody else sort of scrounging around in the muck. I could go on, but you know what I'm talking about. But when the countdown ended and the champagne popped, it wasn't 1925. It was 2025. And hopefully, it's a great year for all of us. Okay, I'd better get out of this crazy outfit because I told my sister I'd go down to the hot spring with her for a cleansing, purifying, well, New Year's Day. So even though I'm not filming this on New Year's Day, I was way too hungover. Well, not hungover. You don't really get a hangover from mushrooms. That's the nice thing about mushrooms. All I did all night, I told you I didn't really drink. I mostly just drank water. And so, well, I didn't have a hangover, but I was pretty tired. Anyway, this is January 2nd that I finally got around to shooting this. And, well, my sister's planning on going over to the hot spring any minute. And I told her I'd go with her. So that means I'd better take this beautiful vintage lamb's fur coat off. But thank you so much for sending this coat. You know who you are. And thank you to Angie for sending the dresses. Oh my God, I can't thank everyone who sent me Christmas gifts enough. In fact, there's a couple gifts that arrived via Amazon that didn't have gift receipts in them. So I made a few notes so that I could thank you guys in this video. Okay, aside from Angie, thank you, Angie. Also, S. Hall sent me a Starbucks gift card. Thank you. I was running out of Starbucks cards, and they really do come in handy when I'm traveling. Sometimes when I'm traveling, I need to go sit at a table somewhere and do some work, you know, instead of sitting in the back of my car and editing. And so I like to go to Starbucks, and that'll come in real handy because I do have quite a bit of travel planned this year. I didn't get to travel much in 2024 because, well, I was helping my mom move, and you know, that's important. I wanted to help my mom move, and I'm still helping her find a new house. But because of that, I didn't get to go to Burning Man. I didn't really travel around as much as I would like to. So this year I'm planning to do a lot more traveling. So the Starbucks card is very much appreciated. And I just got a lovely box of tea from Joseph and Elisa. So thank you, Joseph and Elisa, for the tea. Thank you, S. Hall, for the Starbucks. Thank you, Angie, for the dresses. Thank you, everybody who sent me a Christmas gift. And even if you didn't, thanks for being here and watching. Now, before I sign off, there's one more thing I gotta talk about, and that is my health. Okay, everyone's probably wondering, oh, what is going on with Wonderhussey's titty? I talked about this a couple weeks ago, I guess. I was really struggling with my HMO and my insurance, trying to get in to see a doctor because one of my boobs was painful and swelled up, and I've had issues in the past with cysts. That's right, I don't just have a sister, I also have cysts, unfortunately. And so, long story short, I finally, well, they wouldn't give me a referral to get a breast ultrasound over the phone. I had to go into town in person, which I did, and I saw a doctor, and she felt me up, and I think I already said this in last week's video. She found lumps in both breasts. So, I was kind of freaking out, you know, when you hear a lump in your breast, you automatically think the worst, you know, dun, dun, dun. Remember that movie Terms of Endearment with Shirley MacLaine and Deborah Winger? Deborah Winger's taking a shower and she feels a lump in her breast, and then by the end of the movie, she's dead. Well, of course, all these things went through my head, even though I knew this had happened to me twice before, in 2018 and in 2021. I had a cyst, one or more cysts in my breasts, and I kind of figured that's probably what it was again, but I didn't know. You know, I thought I'd better go get checked out and make sure. And so finally, I got in to get an ultrasound on December 30th. Okay, it took all the way till December 30th, and I first experienced the issue on December 2nd. So 4 whole weeks went by with me trying not to worry about it, and I did a pretty good job. You know, I still enjoyed Christmas with my family, and, you know, I still enjoyed the run up to Christmas with all the Christmas parties and everything, but it was still niggling in the back of my mind. So anyway, I went and I got the dang ultrasound, and wouldn't you know it, it was just the same cyst as before. And so I felt like an idiot because I sort of felt like I was wasting their time. You know, they talk about part of the reason healthcare costs are so high is people overuse healthcare. Like, that's why women's healthcare premiums are more than men's, because women are more wont to go to the doctor than men. You know, men, their left arm will be hanging by a thread and they'll go, oh, I'm fine, it'll heal. They never want to go to the doctor. Well, women, I guess we're known for going to the doctor for every little thing. And I didn't want to be one of those people. I didn't want to be responsible for driving up the cost of healthcare. But I don't know, you tell me, if one of your tits swelled up, got hard, and hurt like hell for 3 days, wouldn't you want to get it checked out? So I did. Everything's fine. I got a clean-ish bill of health. I mean, I guess this is going to continue to happen periodically, even though I cut out caffeine almost entirely. Caffeine is supposed to be a big contributor to breast cysts. I hardly ever drink caffeine, and it's rough, let me tell you. If I could drink coffee again, I'd give the world to drink coffee again, and I'm kind of considering it. Like, well, if I'm having cysts anyways without drinking coffee, maybe I should just go back to drinking coffee. And then I did just start taking, well, I've been taking evening primrose oil. I had several people recommend that you should take evening primrose oil for breast health, but I've been taking that for years too, and I still got a cyst. I just started taking iodine. A friend of mine sent me a study where women taking massive doses of iodine experienced relief from painful breast cysts. So I started taking just 1 drop of iodine a day. I'm not going crazy. I'm going to kind of see how that goes. And, well, fingers crossed I don't have the issue again, but I just have a feeling that I will, because that's just kind of how life is. And I guess that's just kind of how you know you're doing okay. You know, people complain about getting older and they go, oh, getting older is no fun. Getting old is not for the weak. Well, to them I say, it beats the alternative, you know? The more aches and pains and health complaints I have, I had to kick my feet up after wearing them high heels. Ooh. Actually, it's not even just from wearing these high heels. My legs are so sore, my quads mostly, because I did a monster hike the other day with my friend Scott, and I'm working on the video about that now. I'll have that up on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. It's pretty good. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. Aches and pains and getting older. Well, that's just part of life, and it means you're alive. And that's a good thing. Hooray for being alive! And in fact, hooray for being alive in 2025. I really do hope it's a great year for all of us. And I feel pretty optimistic about it. Okay, I know I said I was going to start cutting back to one video a week, and I do intend to do that, one adventure video a week, but I think I'm going to keep doing these little impromptu updates on Fridays, just for those who care to know what's going on. I don't know, I'm just kind of having fun with it. I think I'm going to start doing one live stream a month on a Friday, and then the other 3 Fridays will be just me telling you all about what's going on in my world. And I sure am glad that you're a part of my world. Okay, now I definitely need to get changed so I can make it to this hot spring before the sun goes down. See y'all on Wednesday!